The Mavic Air 2S is released with a 5.4K 1-inch sensor like the Mavic 2 Pro, and that tells me a lot about DJI's plans for the Mavic 3. 6K on the Mavic 3, that seems really obvious. Doesn't make any sense not to at this point. 8K though, I don't think the resolution matters that much. They know that. Professionals are buying this drone, and 8K is too much of a buzzword unless realistically applicable. I think 8K is a lot to deal with. It just doesn't serve a big enough purpose, so I would be happy if it did shoot 6K. I think 6K is the ticket. They also released that 1-inch sensor that used to be their most important component in the Mavic 2 Pro on the Air 2S really quietly. They did not make a fuss about that at all. A 1-inch sensor coming out on a drone was the biggest stunt they pulled. That was the reason people went for that drone. It's why it gave you the quality it did. It was still the best up until now, years later. They know the response with sales they get when they improve the sensor size, so I think the Mavic 3 is going to have a micro four thirds sensor. That would impress people the fastest and make the biggest difference between the Air 2S and the Mavic 3 when it comes out. There would be much better low light on a micro four thirds sensor. If it's bigger than that, I will crap my pants with the light. I will be so happy if it's something bigger. I just don't see how they can fit a sensor that huge on a tiny little drone and make it realistically applicable for the average person. A big advantage over the Mavic 2 Pro and why I still fly it most of the time is because taking this giant Inspire 2 out is such a pain in the butt, and this is what I'm using now that has a micro four thirds sensor. Another reason I think that it makes sense is because they've already done all the field testing with their little tiny group of super professionals that are trying to make film stuff on the Inspire 2 with the X5S camera. So they've got all the weird kinks out of the way. They've got that format and that look stable, and now if they just bump it down to something like the Mavic 3, add a bunch of bells and whistles, hype it up and have a big sale, prosumers are going to go nuts, and then they can make way for an Inspire 3 which will have 9 cameras on it or whatever their plan is for that. I just want to stress that it makes sense because the sensor was the reason to go get the Mavic 2 Pro. Why would they throw that away and put it on an Air 2S quietly and a really quiet launch that they didn't tell anybody about on a small upgrade? It's not even the Air 3, it's just an Air 2S. I just get the feeling they would only do that if they had something much bigger planned. There's one more blues clue that I find pretty telling. There's no aperture control on this camera. Is it too difficult to do? I don't think that's the case. I get the feeling that that's going to be an important part and a professional feature in the Mavic 3. They want to keep that feature exclusive to the best drone you can buy, I think. I also noticed on the Mavic Air 2S, you have the super wide view or you have a 2x zoom. Both of these, I don't really find that moving. And because they have a 5.4K sensor on this drone, just like the Mavic 2 Pro, I thought they would make 4K a partial crop. I think they just want to reward people who want that kind of feature and professional look with the Mavic 3, and then kind of limit the Air 2S for people who will flip over 5.4 just the specs, but not actually need the particular look. So of all the bottlenecks in your footage, how can they really separate themselves to make the Mavic 3 the clear absolute winner in drones right now? We know that it's the Inspire 2, and what's the biggest advantage with the Inspire 2? Way bigger data rate in your footage. It's not filming to tiny little SD cards. That giant sensor, it's better in low light. And the last thing is that you can swap the lenses on it. You can put different lenses from Panasonic, Fuji, whatever, on this micro four thirds build. Of all the lenses you can fit on it, there's only two that I use, the 15mm and the 25mm. The difference in those feels huge, and with 6K you can crop in a ton. I think they're going to go one of two ways with this. One, either they're going to have a drone with two sensors on it, one of them for a 15mm and another lens for a 25 to 30mm or something like that, and that makes sense because it would eliminate the need for a Mavic 3 zoom and split the market. While I'd love to have interchangeable lenses on it, I just really don't see them making that for prosumers. That seems clunky and frustrating, and you have to land and swap lenses. They want to make this thing groundbreaking, impressive enough that you're talking about it on every forum online and you do the marketing for them, and they just want to keep it simple to use. The reason you didn't go get the Phantom 4 Pro is because it's huge and annoying, and the Inspire 2, as good as it is, it's too aggravating to deal with, and swapping lenses is annoying. And I think they want to keep this in the prosumer world of it's all in one, it folds, really simple to use, way less of a pain in the butt. But then this would be the case use for 8K because it is a buzzword. There would be a really good reason because on an 8K sensor you could crop in to 6K at like a pretty huge zoom and it would behave like it has a second lens that way. That would be a sensor crop, so there isn't a loss on the video quality. That might honestly be the way to go, an 8K wide and a 6K cropped in at like 200%, I don't know. So having to swap lenses is annoying. Having two cameras is just too heavy and big. We don't want to split the market between a zoom and a pro model and confuse people. So if you're DJI, that kind of leaves you with one large sensor model with a 24 to 48mm zoom, and it can shoot on an 8K sensor so that you can have a 6K sensor crop. This might be a pipe dream, but this drone I would just crap my pants for. Every time DJI has a launch, they have these really disgruntled employees who always leak photos 2 or 3 months before a drone actually comes out. I don't know what they're doing to make these employees so mad. Anyways, every single time disgruntled employee leaks a photo, people spread the rumors like crazy. I don't know how they always know, but Drone DJ is always like the first one on top of it. Then people fight each other in forums about what is and isn't worth the improvement. Suddenly, there's some behind the scene changes to their launch plan, and then you have the actual drone that comes out. I remember the first time the Mavic 2 Pro was leaked, it didn't have a 1-inch sensor in it, and everybody was like really let down because they were like, oh, I was expecting like a bigger improvement than this. 6 months later, miraculously, Mavic 2 Pro is now being manufactured with a 1-inch sensor. And I think they leak this stuff and then pay attention to the pulse on the market, what people are talking about. So if they keep using H.265, which is what they're using right now, super compressed, it's a lot of data. It's just not ideal. Maybe there's a new format. Maybe they're using QuickTime something else. Maybe there's something less compressed I'm not thinking about, and they will give you a faster SD card or something. I don't know. But if they found a way to deal with that, it would help a lot, and it would make editing a lot simpler, because right now with the Inspire 2, you can film to an SSD, which is a hard drive, faster than a tiny little itty bitty SD card. So you're filming to one of these. This was $1,000 just for the memory card for this. I've got 480 gigabytes in here. I had to pay $1,000 just to get the ability, just to get permission to film in ProRes. Like, the ability is built in. I'm just buying the licensing, the permission to use that format. And ProRes is phenomenal. You get incredible quality with the Inspire 2. So I'll pay for it. But if it's $1,000 price tag just to be able to use the format, that would be like half the cost of a Mavic 3. It doesn't make sense for them to stick ProRes in there. I wish they did. I just don't see it happening. Unless they gave you the ability to license it like they do with the Inspire 2. You pay extra to unlock that ability. Again, that complicates things. It doesn't make it simple for a prosumer. So what about photography, the last area? Their photos are already top notch. If you are complaining, shut up, you are ugly. Even if they came out with 0 photo improvements and it was 20 megapixels, I don't care. I'm already getting more than I can handle on the Mavic 2 Pro. I can already stitch panoramas together and get 100 megapixels. I'm doing that almost every time I shoot. It's not the photos that it needs to improve. It's you if you don't know how photography principles and how to work with this stuff. Seriously, nobody in photography world with these drones is complaining. They are doing a really good job. That put them in a weird spot too with the Mavic Air 2 when it came out. They needed to have something jaw-dropping and some big salesy improvement on the photography. That was the 48 megapixels. Sounds great on paper. It was basically a 12 megapixel blown up, just stretched out. So it wasn't an actual improvement in quality. The point I want to stress, it does not matter if you don't even use that feature. It's still a really, really powerful photo. It's 12 megapixels, raw format photo, flying. It's more than you all need already as it is. The gimbals are so good, you can stabilize and get long exposures. They are super, super powerful. So right now, my 5D Mark III shoots in like 21 megapixels or something, and it's way more than I can handle. I can crop in like a lot. So DJI has been a really, really good company that I've been excited with every time they come out with something new, because they don't hold back anything. Canon holds back forever, and that was the previous company I had pretty much everything with. They punish their loyal customers who will like pay an arm and a leg for their products. So we're in a really, really good time to be into drones if we're getting this much for the price. I'm anticipating like $2,000, and I think we're like 6 months out. The Mavic 2 Pro came out at the end of August in 2018. I think that makes the pricing really simple and easy. They solidify themselves as an entry point drone with the $500 Mini 2 that shoots RAW and 4K. Then if you want a 1-inch sensor, you pay $1,000 for the Mavic Air 2S. And if you really want to stand out against your competition in town and eliminate all the other guys who aren't willing to pay $2,000, you can pay for a Mavic 3. I'd be happy to pay $2,000. That means somebody is not working for slave wages somewhere, and I'm happier. Coming from camera operator world, you're paying like 5 times the price of that for serious 4K cameras on the ground. So I'm always happy to get a DJI drone for as cheap as we're getting them, and they're so capable and they fly. Half of this is probably going to be wrong though, because DJI is consistently unpredictable. I'm just doing the best that I can to pick up on what I think might happen. Maybe the Mavic 3 has a gun on it. I don't know, but we'll see.